The best record in the American League has a comfortable home at U.S. Cellular Field. 20 wins for the White Sox in their first 30 games as they host the Minnesota Twins, their AL Central rivals, for Game 2 of a 3-game series. Thanks for joining us once again tonight. Jason Benetti and Steve Stone along with you. And this is one of those times now, the first time this season, the White Sox have seen the same opponent, the Minnesota Twins, after a series at Target Field, so we're seeing some of the same pitchers.
And it's a great matchup tonight. Irvin Santana going to the mound for the Twins, and lifetime against our Sox, he's 6-7. He's faced them once this year, went 7 innings, gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs, but he's got terrific stuff. Now, we don't know how he's going to be because he's just coming back off the disabled list, but he's going head-to-head with Chris Sale. Looking for win number 7. This is his last time out against Baltimore. He threw the ball pretty well, although it wasn't quite as sharp as he has been. Looking to be a little sharper tonight, and Chris Sale, lifetime against this team, has been good but not great. He's 7-5 with a 4.15 ERA for his career. And there you see Irvin Santana when he faced the Sox in Minnesota. Facing him here, a different story. Last night, the offense came to life. Hopefully tonight, some of the same.
Well, certainly helped all the pitchers on the Sox staff this year. An improved defense for the White Sox.
Last night, you could have put that in a time capsule defensively. It was absolutely brilliant. And we'll start with the guy who's been doing it all year, Adam Eaton, chasing one down in the corner. Then Austin Jackson going up in right center field and banging into the wall. Not to be outdone. Todd Frazier, backhand to the line, and the throw across in plenty of time. And then this one in the second inning got out of a tough jam. Tyler Saladino, the one-hop throw, and he gunned him down at first base. So this has been a terrific defensive ball club, and hopefully with the defense and the pitching and renewed offense, Sox are going to win Game 2 of this 3-game series.
Renewed offense to the tune of 10 runs last night. It's Chris Sale, K-counter, bobblehead Dave. First 20,000, get one. First pitch just around the corner. Chicago White Sox baseball is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. Honda, start something special with a great deal on a Honda, now at your Honda dealer. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Ford, America's best-selling brand 6 years running, inviting you to check out our fuel-efficient lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Test drive their all-star lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Getting you ready for game 2 of a 3-game set between the Sox and the Twins here on the South Side. Javi Garcia came back into the lineup against the Boston Red Sox, and he's currently on his longest hit streak of the season. Sox manager Robin Ventura has noticed some changes for Javi at the plate.
He just seems a little more upright, I think stable. His back's going through the zone a lot better. His hands are working better, which also makes his eyes work better, I think, as far as pitch selection. So a lot of things have really slowed down for him, and I think that's good. I mean, that's healthy to be able to go up there and feeling confident like that.
From the 7th spot, Javi Garcia has become a keystone in that lineup the last week of games he's played.
You could tell the last few games that he is seeing the ball better. The game is slowing down for him because he's taken some high pitches. And over his 7-game hitting streak, he's hitting .458. He's hit a couple of homers, driven in 5. He scored 7, which is equally as important. And walking 4 times for him, well, that's a sign that he is seeing the ball well. So hopefully things continue for him, because if they do, this offense is going to come to life in its entirety.
He had his 7th career 2-walk game last night, seeing a lot of pitches, as you said. So we'll see what Javi Garcia does tonight against the Minnesota Twins and Irvin Santana. Off we go with game 2 after this. Is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. 24 hours of summer. Now it's a little chilly at the ball yard, but a great crowd on hand as we are ready for the Twins lineup today. Scribbled out by Paul Molitor, whose team's at 8-21. Some newcomers in that lineup. Darren Mastriani up from AAA Rochester. Jorge Polanco in the 7th spot, also up from AAA. And no sign of Joe Mauer in this lineup today, Steve Stone.
Well, there you see Nunez on a 6-game hitting streak, and he swung the bat very well, inserted late in the lineup last night. So let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up the defense behind Chris Sale. Left to right, it's Melky, Austin, and Adam in the outfield, with Todd, Tyler, Brett, and Jose in the infield. Deanna Navarro gets a nod behind the plate. And Chris Sale looking for win number 7 on the hill. There you look at some very impressive numbers, an ERA of 166. Bonan's batting average at 171. That's not much, but this team has really hurt him in the past. The umpires, Bill Miller, the crew chief, behind the plate. Pat Hoberg at first, Brian Knight at second, Todd Tishner is at third. So we're ready to play baseball as Chris Sale is checking his outfielders. Apparently he notices 3 of them, and it's time to play baseball. Take it away, Pally.
That's the full complement of outfielders. I notice a Steve Stone next to me. We're ready to go. Chris Sale, first pitch, inside, ball 1. Post time tonight, 6:10.
Mastriani has very good speed. That's the reason why Todd Frazier is in very close at third.
Ball and a strike on Mastriani, who hit .208 with AAA Rochester, and Mike Quaddy slugged .330, was very patient down there. And a check swing foul ball, 1-2 for Darren Mastriani.
That one almost took off the head of Nunez in the on-deck circle, so you got to pay attention.
Strike three. Sale has his first punch out. Use your K counters at your heart's desire.
The K zone was sold out early for this one. Good high fastball, and Chris threw it 96. He hasn't been going up that high in the early going of last couple of starts. So apparently he wants to make sure that those advanced scouting reports showing that he throws 91, 92 early are wrong.
Just foul him up a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
Than he already has so far this year. He throws inside on Nunez for ball one. Chris Sale trying to become the 5th White Sox player since 1913 to win his first 7 or more starts in a season. Last one to do so was John Garland back in the title year 2005. What have you seen this year from Chris Sale? You mentioned the scouting report being different as the plate umpire got clipped with that one. Bill Miller walking it off. What have you seen different this year from Sale?
I've seen the fact that he's not throwing his best fastball early in the game because he hasn't needed it. But that probably today has gone by the boards, because when he does throw a high fastball at 96, nobody catches up to it.
Strike two. Nunez backing away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
First in wins, 3rd in ERA, 3rd opponent's batting average, 2nd in innings, and 8th in strikeouts, and he's not going after strikeouts near as much this year.
Popped up second base. Brett Lawrie going high sockless today. The Brett Lawrie sock carousel continues to spin, and 2 out for Sano.
Well, he's decided to wear elongated pants, making it more difficult for the umpire to locate just exactly where his knees are. So he's thinking maybe he'll buy a strike or 2 down in the zone.
It's a strike zone issue.
Yeah, it is.
You know, some people call those long pants.
They do.
But I like the more formal elongated pants.
Well, you could go one or the other. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Ball 1 to Sano, who's in that 3 spot. He has been outstanding against Sale in his career. 4 out of 5 for Sano. Ball and a strike.
That's one of the few fastballs that he's thrown tonight, at least, that was of the batting practice variety. In other words, it was 91, well off his best, but in the zone.
2-1. Sale to Sano, who was 0 for 3 last night in the 10-4 Sox win, pushing them to 4 games up in the division. Now 4.5 with the Indians' loss earlier, and Sale's got a 2-2 count.
Good straight change. That one low and out of the zone, and he had Sano well out in front of it.
Tigers lost earlier as well. They are 5.5 back. Kansas City a winner. And this one shot through the right side. Sano now 5 of 6 against Sale, and he extends the inning for Trevor Plouffe.
After a good straight change, he decided to go with a fastball away. This one out of the zone, but Sano with good plate coverage, doing what he's done consistently against Chris Sale, and that is shortening his stroke, taking away some of his own power to make contact, and he's so strong that it shoots through the infield easily.
I saw the ERA for Sale against the Twins in our open. You think there's a team philosophy that contributes to that?
I've seen it a couple different times, and that is guys will, amazingly enough against Chris Sale, look for the off-speed pitches. One time last year in Minnesota, the Twins did that. But the guy who's really hurt him the most, Brian Dozier, is out of the lineup for the 2nd straight night, and he's hit 3 home runs off Chris. Chris is not sorry to see him on the bench.
Dozier hurt himself during the series against the Astros. We had heard that he was available to pinch hit in a jam last night. Thought maybe he'd be in the lineup today, but no dice.
If he could go, he would be in the lineup against Chris Sale.
He went last night when Abreu got hit. He was out there on the field. 2 balls and a strike on Plouffe, who's slugging .418 and is another one of those characters with a nice line career against Sale at 12 for 37. Nearly 1 out of every 3 a hit. He's really using that inside corner well so far to right-handers.
And surprisingly, opponents have only missed 15 swings of 40 on inside fastballs. That's kind of surprising for Chris. Yeah.
2-2. In the air, left center field, Austin Jackson in a hurry. This ball is on one hop over the wall. And so Sano has to hold up and go back to third. That saves a run for Sale here in the first inning.
Big break because Sano scores easily, and that was an inside fastball. And unlike the last one that Plouffe took, this one he put a charge into it. The fortunate part is it hits the warning track. You see the location, it's right on the inside part of the plate at 96, and Plouffe, a very good fastball hitter, almost takes it out of the yard, and hitting the warning track catapults it one hop out of the park.
So second and third, 2 out, first inning for Byung-ho Park, who takes ball 1.
Every one of those 7 home runs has been a solo home run for Park, but he's got big power to all fields.
You were in Baltimore for Sale's last start. He had 2 runners on against him in that first inning as well. Got a ground out from Chris Davis and didn't give up his run until an inherited run came home in the 6th.
I thought he did a strong job of pitching because he didn't have very good stuff, and yet he prevailed because he moved the ball in and out, up and down.
1-2. Just missed.
Kicked it up to 97 that time. That was his best fastball. Tried to throw it by him upstairs. Park trying to get out of the way. Didn't even think about swinging.
Where do you go 2-2 after that inside fastball?
For me, straight change, low and away. We'll see what Deanna Navarro wants.
Check swing, and he did not go. It hits Park, and he is on to load the bases. That would have been the second straight game in which Chris Sale hit a batter that struck out against him. Instead, Park checked his swing.
We'll take another look at it. I'm not so sure he checked his swing. Thad Hoberg said he didn't swing. We'll take a look from the side. I've seen less called, but that one wasn't. And it was Mark Trumbo in Baltimore that swung at a pitch that hit him actually in the knee.
That is that's painful in 2 ways.
It's not good.
So here is Oswaldo Arcia, the only left-hander in the lineup, and it's 0-1.
Paul Molitor talking about Arcia, and what he said was, we've got to convince him he doesn't have to hit 500-foot home runs because he is enormously strong. We saw him hit a home run opposite field in last night's ball game. That was a 2-run shot in the 4th.
Something he doesn't do very much at all, the opposite field home run.
No, because if you face him with nobody on, they're going to put that severe shift on him with 3 infielders on the right side. But with the bases loaded, you can't really afford to do that. And there you see, the bases are loaded.
2 balls and a strike for Arcia from Sale, with Sano a single, Plouffe a double, and Park the hit by pitch.
Where were the bases loaded? Not much to this point, but he's a very young hitter, a very strong hitter. The Twins believe he's going to be consistently a good hitter.
24-year-old takes up and out. 3 balls and a strike from Sale. Got to go fastball here.
I would think so.
3-1. Inside, he walked him. Bases loaded walk, and a 1-0 Twins lead.
Don Cooper coming out. That's Chris Sale, who hasn't had few of any problems in the first inning, is having some with location here.
So Sale gives up the run here in the first. This all happened with 2 out and nobody on. Had a quick meeting at the mound with a left-hander who began his starting career with the Sox in 2012. Came in with an ERA of 1.66.
Don Cooper had an animated conversation with the crew chief Bill Miller as he walked back, and he didn't walk to the dugout. He walked back with Miller. He was obviously talking about that slider that hit Park. I think Don Cooper also thought that he had gone around too far.
Now Polanco takes inside. You've talked about it quite a bit. Extra pitches you throw in an inning, whether it be because of an error, because of a call, something like that. It affects a pitcher and how long he can go.
This is a big first inning pitch-wise for Chris. He's at the 31 pitch mark and still has to get out of this inning.
Plouffe at third, Park at second, Arcia at first, and this ball hits Polanco. 2-0 Twins.
So if he never gets another at bat in the major leagues, he will have 1 run batted in, no at bats. As this one hits him just below the knee, a painful way to get aboard, and Chris not happy with himself.
Well, Chris Sale, entering play today, in his career had walked 2 with the bases loaded ever, and hit 1 with the bases loaded ever. He's done both in this first inning with Suzuki, the 8th batter, for strike 1. Well, you hear the fans behind Sale.
Well, the fans are going to be behind one of the league's best pitchers, and it's early enough where this offense, which was in high gear last night, could make this very interesting. Because Santana's just coming off the disabled list. You really don't know what he's going to come back with. But you do know that Suzuki has been very good against the White Sox over the course of his career.
Inside corner, 1-2 on Suzuki. 2 for 3 in that game last night. RBI single, second inning. 1-2, Sale to Suzuki. Here it comes. Saladino at shortstop. To second for the out. And that does it. 8 batters, 2 runs. Couple of hits, 2-0 after a half inning. And they go with this lineup, very similar to yesterday's. If you haven't already scribbled in your lineup, don't change a thing. Eaton, Jackson, Abreu, Frazier, Cabrera, Laurie, Garcia, Navarro, and Saladino for Robin Ventura.
Let's take a look at how Molitor is going to line up his defense and how they're going to be behind Irvin Santana. Arcia, Santana, and Mastroianni in the outfield. Joe Mauer is taking over at first base as Park, who got hit with a slider, leaves the ball game. So it's Plouffe, Nunez, Polanco, and Mauer at first base with Kurt Suzuki behind the plate and Irvin Santana on the hill.
First pitch, a strike to Adam Eaton. So an injury apparently to Park.
As they get hit in the leg, probably they're taking a close look at that.
So Mauer into the 5 spot in the order. So much for the off day. 2 strikes on Eaton.
And he's one of the few of the Minnesota Twins that has not hit Chris Sale well. But that's a lefty-lefty matchup against one of the league's best in both instances.
Eaton tripled yesterday, drove in a run. And the 0-2 nearly hits him. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Santana had a lower back strain. That's what put him on the shelf. Just was activated yesterday. Here he is today. His slider's his best pitch. That's his wipeout pitch.
Tap foul. Breaking ball that time. Tell you about our picks to click shortly. Here in the bottom of the first inning. Eaton shanks it to left. Adam Eaton continues his torrid pace. He is on with nobody out for Jackson, and here are those aforementioned picks to click. Austin Jackson hanging out with the crew tonight. Avi Garcia, Steve goes with a hot hand, and I'll take Tyler Saladino, who drove in 2 in last night's game.
Can I change it to Adam Eaton?
Sure.
No, I won't. I got to stick with my guy.
I appreciate that. Stick to your guns.
He is my guy for tonight.
Got you to the dance. Might as well have a tango or 2 with him. Jackson against Irvin Santana. And strike 1.
Santana 6-7 lifetime against the Sox, but you never really know coming off the disabled list what he's going to come back with. Normally he's got very good control. We'll see how he fares tonight and how good the stuff is after a layoff.
Popped up foul. Mauer has no room. Santana went on the DL April 26th. That was retroactive to the 20th. A longtime major leaguer who didn't make any rehab starts through that whole process of the back injury. So this is his first time back out in a real game.
And career-wise, he's been very good. 126 and 106, 20 over 500 in the ERA for a career 4.15. This year's ERA 3.15.
Is that his A move to first?
I think what he did was not look at Adam Eaton and decided, as long as I've started to go over there, I will throw. He's got a big smile on his face because he would like to see Adam Eaton actually get a lead before he goes over to first.
It's a novel concept. Saw that with Frazier earlier this year.
Yeah.
Todd was anchored to the bag. Got a throw over. Eaton 4 out of 5 in steals this year.
That was Jared Weaver who threw over, and then Weaver yelled at him to get a lead.
Get off the bag. Jackson takes strike 3. 1 down.
This was a high slider, and the call could have gone either way, and it goes Santana's way. As you saw what Suzuki thought of it, because he took it, yanked it back in the strike zone, and he got the call anyway.
Close pitch, according to our Xfinity pitch tracks. And here is Abreu, who was at the center of the 8th inning fracas last night. Jose hit by a pitch off the hand of Trevor May. Bench is cleared, bullpen's cleared, and nothing further thus far. Jose, we saw him mouthing to May. He was yelling at him, "What happened? What happened?" Nothing more untoward than that. And Jose, after the game, he apologized for what he did, which didn't seem terribly sizable. I asked him before the game, "Why'd you apologize?" He said, "Because if there are kids watching, that's not how I'd want them to react."
Well, first of all, he's that kind of guy, but also that kind of player. He's very professional, and I think he lost his composure for a bit, and he was unhappy about that.
1-2 on Abreu.
With Santana, you can go up there. If you're a right-hand hitter, you can guess slider. Just under 50% of the time, you're going to be right. right-handers. Santana uses that slider just well at about 48% of the time.
Set up outside on 1 and 2, and Eaton off the bag this time, making a much more compelling play at first. One and 2 for Abreu. Rope to left field. Eaton turns second and slams out the brakes, with Arcia getting there fairly quickly. 2 on, 1 out in the Sox first inning.
This is a slider, and Jose guesses right. The ball is down, but he goes out in full protection mode and drives it into left field. Adam Eaton not wanting to make the second out, although that seems to be okay, but Arcia throws the ball pretty well. Puts on the brakes and retreats to second.
So a little bit less of an RBI opportunity for Frazier, who is just 1 for his last 26, and fouls this ball away. 0-1.
Well, the layoff is not affecting the fastball of Irvin Santana. That was 95. Outer third. .94 that time.
0-2. Game time temperature was allegedly 60 degrees. Feels a little bit colder than that.
It was 60, but I don't think at the ballpark.
Nicaragua, maybe.
Actually substantially warmer today in the suburbs than downtown.
Today was one of those windy downtown days here in Chicagoland. But they are out in droves for the Chris Sale K counter.
3 fastballs. I would think there'd be a slider forthcoming.
There it is. Frazier punches it to right field, and Mastriani in mid-range right for out number 2. So it's up to Melky Cabrera to drive in a couple here in the first inning after a 4-hit night last night.
Melky has seen Irvin Santana more than anybody on this team, and he's had fairly good luck against him. Overall, it's been a very strong beginning for Melky.
Hitting .315, tied for the team lead in runs scored. And with 2 out, he takes ball 1. Laurie on deck with 2 on in the first. And out comes Kurt Suzuki to talk to Santana. There's Laurie, who had 2 hits yesterday in that 10-4 win.
Irvin was an all-star in 2008 and then pitched a no-hitter for the Angels in 2011.
Fouled off on the ground, 1-1. Well, there was some upheaval with the Twins today. Tommy Malone sent to AAA. Casey Fiend out of the bullpen, claimed by the Dodgers. Eduardo Escobar, the shortstop, on the DL. A whole new Twins team since they've come to Chicago.
So the lifetime numbers of Santana, he's been a sub-500 pitcher against the Sox, despite being 20 over for his career.
Check swing, and he didn't go. 2-1.
We'll take a look at the view that Todd Tishner had, and he said he checked it up. Nice stop by Suzuki behind the plate. The infield playing him as a dead pull hitter. The outfield maybe a step as a pull hitter.
2-1. Low, ball 3. One of the most selective hitters in Major League Baseball right now, Melky Cabrera, with a 3-1 count. 2 out. Runners will go on contact. Three-one. Up and out, ball 4. They're loaded for the Sox in the first.
Pretty good patience by Melky, because a couple of those pitches were just off the plate. But fortunately, they were off the plate.
And that leaves it to certified Twins killer Brett Lawrie, who's hitting .355 in his last 15 games against the Twins. That is a 15-game hit streak versus Minnesota.
Well, last night he rifled 2 singles to left field. He got fastballs hittable early in the count, and he didn't miss them.
First pitch here, down and away, a slider, 1 ball, no strikes.
I think early we're seeing some of the rust on a guy that normally has very good control.
On the DL since April 26th, Santana pours over a strike to Lawrie, 1-1. Bases loaded. Eaton at third, Abreu at second, Melky at first. Fastball, and he chops it off Suzuki. 1-2.
That shook him up a bit. As you can see, he's showing the effects of taking a good solid shot to the mask. Watch it again. That got him square in the mask. And Bill Miller, who's been there, takes some time to walk around, wipe off the plate, ask him what city he's in, and the trainer's going to come out and have a look at him.
The answer is Beirut. He's coming out of the game. Well, already in this game, Byung Ho Park has come out in the first inning. Suzuki is the headlining catcher. Juan Centeno, who just came up from Rochester, is the backup. We've yet to see him in this series. Suzuki looks pretty well shaken up.
Yeah, he's still trying to escape the effects of that foul ball off the mask, trying to stop his nose from bleeding. That pretty much shows you the whiplash effects, because you get hit in the mask, the head goes straight back.
Cage of the mask comes back into his face, and the after effects for a cloudy Twins catcher.
Tough position. You got to be a very tough man to play it. The longer you play it, the more susceptible you are to concussions. And Suzuki is back and ready to go.
New in Major League Baseball recently is that 7-day concussion DL.
I think it's a good rule, and they know the cumulative effects of concussions. The more you get, the easier you get them.
1-2. And Suzuki pressed into action right away, down to a knee on the block.
He's always been
right.
Well, he's always been one of the most athletic of all catchers. He moved to his right. He was able to block it, but it was the last thing he really wanted, trying to shake off the cobwebs.
2-2. Pitch number 27 of the inning for Santana after 36 from Sale in the top of the first, and time called. Bases loaded, 2-2 on Lawrie. Fouled back.
That was his hittable fastball. He got it about thigh high, inner portion of the plate, and fouled it straight back.
Chris Sale waiting his turn after a 2-run first inning for the visitors. Laurie swings and misses, strike 3, and the inning comes to an end. Sox strand them loaded after 1, Twins by a pair. Top 2 at U.S. Cellular Field. Danny Santana to lead it off. Darren Mastriani to follow. Eduardo Nunez after that, as the Twins have put 2 up early against Chris Sale on his K-counter bobblehead day. You ever have a K-counter bobblehead?
No, I never had a bobblehead of any sort.
At least the toy.
At least the toy. No, never. Which is good. And by the way, Danny Santana, 6 at-bats right-handed, no hits this year.
Downstairs, 2-2.
There is the Chris Sale K-counter bobblehead.
Goes great with nachos. Swing and a miss, strike 3, 1 down. Second punch out for Sale this evening.
He throws one well out of the zone, and Santana, who's known to swing at high pitches, especially from the right side, goes down on strikes. He's now 0 for 7. But there's been so many injuries to this team that they like his defense in center, and they're willing to give up a little offense.
Another injury already tonight. Knee contusion for Byung-Ho Park. He is officially listed as day-to-day. He came out in favor of Joe Mauer, as Abreu is right at the bag and has out number 2.
This is exactly what Chris Sale needed after an extended first inning of work. Quickly 2 up and 2 down.
7 pitches this half inning as Nunez comes up. You're talking about injuries. Mike Moustakas for the Royals with a broken thumb. He's out. We'll see how long. They called up Cheslor Cuthbert from AAA Omaha.
Well, the first reports it was 6 to 8 weeks, but being a younger guy, he might heal more quickly. But for a hitter, that's a tough injury to overcome.
Ball to strike on Nunez.
And not only that, but it takes away an exceptionally talented defensive third baseman from Kansas City.
And that'll do it for inning number 2 from Sale's side. Abreu puts it away. It's a 2-0 score after 1.5.
Sox fans, you can manage the game along with Robin by logging on to WGNTV.com and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. Sox Game Zone is powered by Dodd Camera, family owned for 125 years. Dodd Camera, where the focus is on you.
That Helmet Sunday is going to be our first White Sox man versus food treat from Comiskey's Confections. We're going to have you eat one of those in 3 minutes. Can you do it?
Well, 12 scoops of ice cream, but how ironic is it? A giant sundae on Saturday. Wouldn't that be better served tomorrow?
A little early.
Yeah. 12 scoops of ice cream.
Javi Garcia, a chopper. Nunez, save! Eight-game hit streak for Mr. Garcia.
Nunez makes a good play, as well as he possibly can, to get it over there, but not in time, as Javi, with outstanding speed for a big man, able to beat the play at first. Good call by Pat Hoberg, and he does, in fact, beat the throw.
He really could have been a middle linebacker in another life, don't you think?
I think that or a tight end, certainly. Got the speed and certainly has the size.
Navarro, 0-1.
Deanna getting the lion's share of the play by far. Probably will be the happiest man when Alex Avila comes back. He's on a rehab stint now.
Down with AAA Charlotte on the road at the Braves AAA team. Navarro sailing to left center field. Into the gap it goes. Garcia speeds for third. Joe McEwing waves him around, and no play at the plate. 2-1 your score on a Deoner Navarro RBI double.
RBI number 11. And Avi wasn't quite sure if this ball was going to be caught. It's a changeup away, and Navarro just puts a charge into it. The way it's slicing away from Santana, he had no chance to get it. And when it did inevitably fall, here comes Avi. Third base coach on that play, you keep your eye on Garcia until you wave him around, and then your eyes go to Navarro to make sure what you want him to do. In this case, even though the relay throw was dropped, he doesn't have the speed to go to third, and plus with nobody out, you don't want to make the first out there.
Saladino now takes a ball. Joe McEwing on that play looked like he was conducting the world's largest orchestra.
You've got to be heads up to be a third base coach, because you're keeping your eye on 2 and sometimes 3 different players in various situations. And once a man passes you, then you look on to the next.
Downstairs, 2-0 for Saladino in the 9 spot tonight after 2 RBIs in yesterday's win.
This game started early for a night game, and normally you don't see the ball all that well until darkness takes over, but that hasn't been the case early in this one.
Cracked foul by Saladino, 2-1.
I like what he tried to do there. Even though the ball was away, he was trying to go to the right side. He realizes that at the end of this at bat, he's got to move Navarro to third base at the very least. And Avi continues his red-hot streak.
He's battered Santana at 5 for 9 now in his career. Check swing. Didn't go, says first base umpire Pat Hoberg. 3-1 for Saladino.
Well, I know you graduated from law school, so the appellate process tonight hasn't found too many affirmatives.
It's a stacked bench.
Yeah, that's what's happened. Boy, my pens are just flying around.
Windy. 3-2 for Saladino.
That won the upper reaches of the strike zone. And the wind, especially this time of year, very much a factor.
I'll blow a writing utensil right out of your hand.
That's exactly. That was almost a tragedy.
3-2. Ground ball. Nunez, one down. Navarro couldn't run with the ball coming toward him. And we remind you that you can come out to U.S. Cellular Field on select Fridays during the 2016 season and get 2 outfield reserve tickets and 2 food or drink items for just $49. Each ticket you purchase will include $8 in bonus bucks, more than enough to cover that first soda, beer, hot dog, or sausage. Visit whitesox.com/first for more information.
There's a Sox fan warming up his fingers for his trip to the concession stands.
What do you need the warm fingers for?
Well, when you grab one of those things there, you don't want it to fall out of your hands. And it's cold enough, even though it says 60 degrees up there, it's cold enough down there to lose your grip, as I am doing up here.
We've been losing our grip for a while. Fly ball for Eaton, center field. Santana fighting it, and he is there. Navarro to third. 2 out.
I think Adam Eaton is surprised that ball stayed in the park, because he got just about every bit of it, but I think the wind knocked it down. And then Santana got himself in a position most center fielders don't want to get in. That is with his back to the infield. He drifts a long way trying to make that over-the-shoulder catch and has to stay with it as the wind tries to take it away from him, but turns it into a good play.
Wasn't exactly Willie Mays.
No, but effective.
2 out. Navarro at third. Austin Jackson, 0-1.
A lot of pitches thrown by both pitchers so far. 44 forthcoming from Santana.
Sales thrown 46 through 2. Up and in. 1 ball, 1 strike for Austin Jackson. Bundle up tonight. Boy, I know 60 degrees. This ain't 60 degrees.
No, it certainly is not. That young man enjoying it, though.
Check swing. Jackson very nicely held up on it. 2 balls and a strike.
Last 12, things have been going pretty well. 286 of that's good, but 5 doubles, 4 driven in, and 6 scored. That's very good. Most of it from the 9 spot in the batting order, or the last couple of days in the 2 spot.
Jimmy Rollins, couple of days off. It's a strike called for Jackson. 2-2.
I think Robin probably figures that at 37 as a middle infielder, Jimmy Rollins will benefit down the road for the off days he gets early in this one, and that's pretty much how he's been playing it.
2-2. Strike 3. Third strikeout for Santana. 2 of Jackson. The Sox do get on the board on a Navarro RBI double behind Chris Sale. with the lead 2-1 over the Sox. Thanks for joining us tonight. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. Our entire crew is here with us via WGN. I hope you enjoyed the Derby earlier if you watched. Nyquist.
And if you're a big bettor of favorites, you won.
Nothing like a front runner getting a payoff.
Well, Chris Sale would like a payoff against Sano. He's got to find a way to get him out.
Starting him 0-2 isn't a bad idea.
That time was a good breaking ball down and in. Chris hit both Park and Polanco on breaking balls in that first inning. Hard sliders way in.
0-2 for Sano. And that misses. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the good news from the 2 hit by pitches in the first inning. The umpires are not on tilt mode because of the issues last night. There's strike 3 on Sano, 1 away.
Sano talking back to Bill Miller, thinking that that ball was up and out of the zone. It actually had a piece of the zone. Take another look at it. Navarro wants it away. Chris actually floats it over the outside corner, and it caught a piece of the plate.
So 1 down for Plouffe. With that dust up last night that we talked about, part of our discussion was what happens during the line drive foul by Plouffe. What happens if somebody hits a batter unintentionally today? Are the umpires going to overreact, throw somebody out? We saw 2 hit batters in the first inning, and there was no sign of anything.
Well, they're not going to call anything on sliders because, I mean, he's trying to get him out as a put-away pitch, especially to Park. I mean, he's got him 2 strikes, looks to put him away with the slider. It hit him and put him out of the ball game, and then the same with Polanco early in the count.
That would be quite the long play from Chris Sale. Get deep into a count so he could throw a slider and hit Park in the leg.
Yeah, not exactly what he intended at that point to load him up.
1-2 for Plouffe, who doubled, a ground rule double to left center in the first that looked like it was going to be an RBI double, then cleared the fence on a bounce. 2-2 with 1 out here in the third.
Plouffe coming back from an intercostal injury, still not 100%.
Breaking ball, strike 3. Back-to-back punch outs for Sale. The K counter is up to 4 this evening.
He freezes him with a backdoor breaking ball, and that one good enough, says Bill Miller. From a right-handed hitter standpoint, he can't swing at that because it never was on the plate.
Called strike 3 nonetheless, and here is Joe Mauer, who is in because of the injury to Park. Strike 1. This was a scheduled day off for the .311 hitting Mauer. Decided that during the last road trip. But with Park's injury, Mauer is in, and it's 1-1 from Sale.
Probably a good day to rest him because Chris Sale has had his number. Not many on this Twins team can say that.
Nasty curling breaking ball, 1-2.
This is a 3-time batting champion, and Chris Sale has held him to .216 over the course of his career.
Back to the mound, Sale discards it. And a 1-2-3 inning. Back-to-back 1-2-3 innings for Chris Sale. 2-1 after 2.5.
Subway third inning triple play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999 right now, and the 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to Subway restaurants in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do. Just under the wire, got that one in.
Well done.
Thanks.
Right at the quarter pole, I was concerned. You made it.
Indeed. Thank you.
Like silver charm. 1-0 to Abreu, and 2 balls and no strikes. We have some great prizes on the prize shelf today, by the way. We have a pink White Sox pashmina.
That to me is, I mean, that's the star of the show. Mother's Day is tomorrow.
Second base, Polanco, 1 away. The Mother's Day bats that the players will be using here at the ballpark tomorrow in honor of Mother's Day and for breast cancer awareness.
That's a good-looking bat, a pink one, and it's even better because it commemorates the battle against breast cancer, trying to eradicate it.
Frazier, who is often swinging at pitch number 1. It's 0-1. Well, I don't know if you can top the pink pashmina though, with the pink bat.
And don't forget the Sox logo with a Chris Sale K counter. That's always a big one.
All pashmina proceeds go to the prize shelf charities.
You also have a White Sox Rubik's Cube that you brought in.
That was delivered by Megan Golden from the PR department downstairs. Frazier drills it left field and gone.
That's number 8, and that was a no-doubter. The only question, would it stay fair long enough? And at the 3:30 mark, that one didn't have all that much time to hook. His 8th, his 19th driven in. And we'll take another look. A rocket down the line. So for Santana, just his 2nd home run given up. And that one ties it at 2.
Sox got 1 in the 2nd, this one in the 3rd, and with that home run, another generous donation from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. 0-2 on Melky Cabrera, who walked in the 1st.
And there's 3 and 4, by the way, in the lineup. And if 4 starts hitting, 3's going to hit even better.
It's 13 home runs combined from 3 and 4 this year. 29 home runs for the Sox this season.
Infield shifted, and now they're telling Nunez to move back to the left side of the infield.
He was well to, as we see it, the right of second base.
Well, I think what Paul Molitor is thinking is that Melky early in the count might be more aggressive. Later in the count, he's probably in protection mode and can use the whole field.
And he pulls it to Polanco. 2 out in the 3rd. Sox fans, join us Saturday, May 21st at 1:10 p.m. against the Royals. All fans ages 21 and over get a 25th ballpark anniversary canvas presented by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner and official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Purchase your tickets today at whitesox.com or call 866-SOX-GAME. Foul ball from Laurie. 0-1. The Royals, with their win today, are back over 500 at 15-14, but the Sox currently lead the Central by 4.5. Laurie smokes it foul, and 0-2.
Got a slider on the first pitch, got a straight change on the second pitch. That time got out a little too quickly on it. The first pitch was very hittable. It's kind of a rolling slider, but he fouled it off, so he's in a hole.
Check swing. He went around, says the plate umpire Miller. However, Todd Frazier has gone deep. It's been a lean May, but the strength comes out in the third. We're tied at 2 to the tune of fireworks.
Blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. So join the nation. Visit JeffVuk.com because Nationwide is on your side, as is our gnome.
Well, and that's great because the gnome has the watchful eye over our prize shelf. We're going to play Sox math shortly. The dog also protecting, but Morty the gnome is always watching.
And as you can see, protecting the prize shelf, along with the beautiful pashmina. Mother's Day tomorrow, remember.
You could win it for your mom, or that Rubik's Cube, or the Abreu plush, or whatever it might be that you want off the prize shelf that we may or may not send to you if you ask for it.
The two completely nameless statues.
Well, one's Paul Konerko.
Yes, it is.
The other one is Joe Smith.
Fairly innocuous.
That school in Teaneck. 2 balls and a strike to Oswaldo Arcia. We'll get you your Sox math problem this half inning. I know you're raring to go. You've got your abacus out.
I was better yesterday.
Ground ball. Frazier dives on it. Arcia is out at first.
The defense over the last couple of days has absolutely been spectacular. Last night for Todd Frazier, it was a rocket down the line. He caught it, moved into foul territory, made the play. This time to his left, smothers it. Has enough time to get up, firing it across and getting Arcia by a half step. Nothing makes a pitcher happier than seeing that kind of defense, and Sox pitchers have been seeing it all year.
1 down for Polanco, ball 1. Pretty impressed, right, with Todd Frazier's internal clock. The play he made took the time last night. Here he rushed it and got it there in time.
You have to realize who's going up the lineup. For a guy who's in the American League for his first time, it's pretty good to know who can run, who can't, who gets out of the box more quickly. And it's equally as important to read the swing. Most third basemen tell me that the easiest way to get a good first step is looking at the angle of the bat through the strike zone.
To left field, Melky Cabrera on the move, and this is down for a hit. Polanco looking for 2, and he's in there with a 1-out double. Jorge Polanco, who drove in a run by getting plunked in the first, has a double. I'll tell you about our Sox math problem for tonight. Hashtag Sox math on Twitter. Take the number of Chris Sale's Sox starts before 2012, add the date in March in which Chris Sale was born, multiply his total career complete games, and divide by the number of wins Chris Sale's alma mater had in the 2013 NCAA basketball tournament. It's an all Sale Sox math tonight.
This has a degree of difficulty of about 8.5.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's difficult.
Ground ball to short. Saladino is on top of it. Throws to second. Polanco was off the bag, straying from second. Saladino cuts him down.
I think Paul Molitor wants to take a look at that. He wants to see if the tag was on. There's no doubt that the ball beat him, but Paul is waiting. He doesn't want to send Santana back until he has his people take a look. Not good base running. And you have to, in this case, Brian Knight has to determine if the left hand is in before the tag. The tag is on the body. And that's exactly what Molitor is looking at, and apparently they are convinced that the tag is there before the hand. As the right hand never gets there, he was out by plenty.
Well done by Saladino. Suzuki to first with 2 out for Santana.
That was a real bad base running play because the ball was in front of Polanco, and when the ball's in front of you, rule of thumb, you never go. If you do, that's what happens.
You were talking about it with Deontay Navarro earlier, with a ball that was very close to being in front or behind him.
Well, a couple of differences. Polanco runs better than Navarro, but also the ball was hit like a rocket to Saladino. That ball hit up the middle with Deontay, was not hit as hard, but he decided, why chance it?
Popped up, first base side, Abreu. Inning over. 1 out double, does no damage. Bottom 4 next. Sox with a run take the lead. And White Sox, a little game of catch during the break.
And sometimes it doesn't work out all that well. That young lady has got a souvenir, and then, no, you're not supposed to throw that back. You're supposed to keep that.
Regifting here at the ballpark. First pitch downstairs to Avi Garcia. Ball 1. I've never seen you once, ever, give back something free.
Well, it depends on what it is. I would gladly give you a cold if I got one.
It's not exactly how it works. Illnesses are not zero-sum. Ball and a strike on Avi, who scored after an infield single in the 2nd inning. Very kind of you, though.
Well, it's the least I could do, and you know that that's what I look for.
Ground ball foul. 1-2 for Garcia.
Still a lot of pitches for Santana. He would like to keep it to a minimum. The Sox, on the other hand, would love to get into middle relief in that Twins bullpen.
lot of upheaval in that bullpen today.
See the first inning for both Irvin Santana and Chris Sale. A whole lot of pitches. 36 for Sale, 28 for Santana. And things have gotten progressively better for Santana and much better for Chris Sale.
Nunez at short retires Garcia, and 1 away. Tell you about our Sox math answer today. Already a correct answer from Mike Ganella. Take the number of Chris Sale's White Sox starts. That was 0. He was a reliever before 2012. He was born on March the 30th. Chris Sale, 9 complete games, so that's 270. And Florida Gulf Coast University had 2 wins in the 2013 NCAA basketball tournament. Don't the Hoyas know it? The answer is 135 today for Sox math. Bunch of correct answers. Mike Ganella was in first to win something off our prize shelf to give to somebody for some holiday in the future.
We still hold those lovely sunflower seeds.
Yes, the Connor McKnight signature sunflower seeds still available for someone who loves having snacks mailed to them.
Miraculously, they're still available.
Well, somebody took the Scott Merkin marshmallow peeps in like 3 of your Altoids tins. So I think it's more of a referendum on Connor than it is sunflower seeds.
It very well be.
The venerable keeper of the radio postgame report. We should get an autographed Diana Navarro glasses for the prize shelf.
Have to talk to him tomorrow.
Huh. You take care of that. Navarro smashes it down the right field side. He visits the corner. Diana Navarro bidding for extra bases for the second time tonight.
A couple of doubles in different directions. The first time into left center field, and this time down the line and right. Unfortunately, this ball kicked away from Mastriani. It's a slider, and it doesn't break sharply. Diana got the good part of the bat on it. And it kicks around for a bit.
It's a very busy applause sign during this series.
Melky does the same thing. Diana does the same thing. Not easy to hit doubles.
Saladino wanted to check it up, thought if he looked away, nobody noticed. It is 0-1.
That made a good defensive play in taking Polanco off second base, out of scoring position, and Chris Sale was able to get out of the inning after a couple of spectacular defensive efforts.
In the air, first base side, and out of play. 0-2 for Saladino. San Diego kid, 26-year-old shortstop. Suzuki right on top of that. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That was an excellent stop, and there you saw the athleticism of Kurt Suzuki now that he is entirely back to 100% after getting shaken up earlier with a foul ball off his mask. That was a tough ball to handle.
Chopper, tough play. Plouffe on the charge, kicks it around. Everybody's safe. Navarro to third. Saladino an infield single.
Turns out for Plouffe to be a pretty decent thing. We talked about the fact that he is not 100%. And normally he's outstanding at coming in, charging the ball, throwing in the same motion. But you're not going to get Saladino on this play anyway. Now he boots it back towards Suzuki. The only thing you can do by getting that ball and throwing it is get yourself in trouble. So it is an infield hit, putting runners at the corners with a chance to take the lead.
For Adam Eaton, who already has 13 two-hit games this year, a single in the first tonight, and he watches ball 1.
He's hit the ball hard both times at bat. That fly ball to center field was absolutely crushed. The wind seemed to knock it down, and Santana was able to make the over-the-shoulder catch.
Go to first on Saladino. You think he'll be in motion here?
If I was Robin, I would give Adam a chance to hit it as hard as he hit it the first 2 times. But they did put him in motion a couple times last night.
Way outside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Right now, normally you want to give your hitter who's in a great hitter's count the ability not to have to swing at something.
Fouled off by Eaton, 2-1. First position player to 2 in wins above replacement this year. Adam Eaton has had a spectacular first month and a week.
His defense has been brilliant. He's hitting over 300. Now, if you're thinking about running, it's not a bad idea.
Why is that?
2-1 normally is a running count. You're not going to run into a pitch out. Nobody wants to take a pitcher into a 3-1 count. And if Adam can make some contact, good time.
Saladino holds. It is 3-1.
Now Trevor Plouffe coming over. He wants a word with Santana.
Saladino at first, Navarro at third. 3 balls and a strike for Eaton with Austin Jackson on deck. Abreu to follow. 3-1. Saladino runs. It's ball 4. Bases loaded yet again.
Second walk given up, and the 79th pitch is now Plouffe once again goes back to talk with Santana. Again, coming off the disabled list, you wonder just how many pitches he has. It's a whopping total, and it's probably answered because Neil Allen coming out, meaning they want to kill some time and let that bullpen get loose, and it's Brandon Kintzler.
Just up from AAA Rochester today. Here is Allen, former Indians pitching coach to the farm system for Cleveland, over here to Minnesota. Former Brewer Kintzler getting loose.
He's done a pretty good job on Austin Jackson so far. The slider has been his best weapon.
2 strikeouts for Jackson. Santana inside, ball 1. In the dirt, bouncing away, and not far enough for Deoner Navarro to chance it in a high leverage situation here, in a positive one for the Sox.
Even if Deoner's coming down the line with a good secondary lead, he's not going to take the opportunity because the ball's right in front of him. It was pushed down the third base line. He doesn't know how far it's going to get away, and you already have the bases loaded. With his speed, you stay there.
Fastball here?
I would think so.
Jackson, Santana, outside, ball 3.
He missed with the fastball, and now he's in a jam. And Abreu in the on-deck circle.
Tie game in danger, 3-0. Ball 4, he missed with all of them, and the Sox lead for the first time tonight.
RBI number 9, a quiet RBI for Austin Jackson. And here comes Paul Molitor, so that's going to be it for Ervin Santana, who's made 83 pitches, and he's got some uncharacteristic wildness tonight. Just back off the DL. So he's going to leave this one. And as he leaves, Kinsler comes in. We're going to step out and be back after these messages. Kinsler, who spent a lot of time with the Brewers, parts of 5 different years. That was at AAA Rochester, 4-1, a fine ERA of 3.5. He comes in with no margin for error. Bases loaded. He was originally a 40th round draft pick of the San Diego Padres in 2004, so he's been around a while.
The former ticket sales representative for the independent Winnipeg Goldeyes is on to face Jose Abreu. Ball 1. When he was in independent ball, Kinsler sold tickets for the front office and never faced a customer at a window like Abreu, we can bet.
And he throws straight over the top, so there's not a great deal of deception.
Same story. 2-0. Jackson walked on 4, Eaton on 5.
See Abreu wearing the sleeve on his left arm, and that's probably a result of getting hit last night.
Extra protection.
Yeah, and compression.
2-0. He was going for it. 2-1.
Well, there's an example. You're looking fastball all the way. You get a fastball. It's out of the zone, but he's a run producer. Jose does not look for walks in situations where he can drive them home. He leads the team by 1 for Todd Frazier. He's got 20 of them.
2-1. Chopped foul. 2-2. Frazier creeping up on him with that 3rd inning solo homer that tied the game. Now a Sox lead 3-2. A couple of grand slams for Jose in his career, his 3rd season. And there is Tom's River's finest. Two and 2 from Kinsler. Strike 3.
Our 4th drive of the game is right down the line on the 2nd home run that Santana's given up this year. At the time, it was an eventful home run because it made the score 2-2.
See if he can do it again. Bases loaded, 2 out. Kinsler to Frazier. And strike 1.
It's actually the first pitch that Kinsler has thrown in the strike zone in now 7 pitches.
Oh, 0-1. Ball to strike on Frazier. Sox got 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 more here in the fourth so far against Irvin Santana. These runners are all his, with Kinsler coming on with the bases loaded. One. He lays off. 2 balls and a strike on Frazier.
Pretty good eye, because he checked his swing on 2 sinkers low and in. One at 94, the other at 95. Career with the bases loaded. You see a couple of grand slams. Batting average in the 230s.
Vegas against Jersey. Kinsler and Frazier 2-1. Bouncer. Long run. Plouffe on the go and has out number 3. Smoothly done by Trevor Plouffe. Sox get a run on the bases loaded walk and lead 3-2 after 4.
And Garrett Richards is most likely going to be lost for part of next year after missing this season. He's got a torn ligament to right elbow. It's going to lead to Tommy John surgery. CC Sabathia placed on the DL yesterday, and the Yankees lose another one of their pitchers. The injury report is brought to you by Dr. Anthony Romeo Orthopedics. If you have any shoulder or elbow problems, go to RomeoOrthopedics.com or call 312-432-2342. Do
you think all of his patients yelled down from him from a balcony?
Oh, yes, I'm sure of that.
I think that's how it works. Ball inside to Mastriani from Sale. We met Jeff Vukovich yesterday. He came into the booth, said hello. I wonder if Dr. Romeo is going to stop by.
Jeff is a tall fella.
Wherefore art thou?
Yes. And Jake Peavy is eternally grateful to Dr. Anthony Romeo for resurrecting his career in a surgery that had never been done on a major league pitcher before. Reattaching the latissimus dorsi back from where it was torn, and he's come back and pitched pretty well for a long time.
2-2 on Mastriani. All those injuries you mentioned in Major League Baseball. Phil Koch is up for the Yankees, taking Sabathia's spot. It's outside 3-2 for Mastriani, whose last home run in the majors was off of Chris Sale back on June 28th, 2 years ago. Won't get it this time. Breaking ball slotted on the outside corner.
Well, Chris is probably going to go back to that because this is the second time he's thrown a breaking ball that stayed outside, but he got the benefit of the call. So Bill Miller staying right with it. Mastriani thought that it was outside. He might have a point there, but he's going to take a seat anyway.
That outside corner has been there to right-handed hitters for Sale a couple of times tonight with that curveball.
That's the third time he's had a strikeout on a called third.
Strike one to Nunez. We've seen Sale, he's got the couple different breaking balls that he likes to use to batters.
Well, one he's not going to use much anymore, and that's the one that breaks low and in. It's called a back foot slider from a left-hand pitcher to a right-hand hitter. But the two of them he threw hit the hitters. So he wants to avoid that. He took Park out of the game by hitting him just below the knee in the first inning. And in that same inning, he hit Polanco to force in a run. So now when he does throw that slider, he's throwing the one that breaks over the left-handed batter's box over the outside corner.
1-2 for Nunez, so it's as easy as that. You lose a couple early in the night and you don't go back to it as much.
I think he feels comfortable throwing it away to these guys, and that one's coming back this way. But don't worry, I'll protect you. Come out from under the shelf. Thank you very much.
I was looking at you. You looked out like it was coming directly for your hands, and I went into full cower.
Bill?
No. Yikes. 1-2 for Nunez. Former Yankee. Swings and misses over the top of the slider. Strike three. Punch out number 6 for Sale.
That's the first one he's used down and in to a right-hander. You see where Deanna Navarro wants it? And this one just breaks very sharply low and in. Nunez doesn't have a chance. Navarro makes a good catch of this one. So much for that at bat. 2 up, 2 strikeouts.
What a look that was at how far Nunez was away from hitting that ball.
Chris Sale is one of the best pitchers in baseball. And the reason is just about everything he throws moves. And this is a guy he got out for one of the few times last time up.
Struck out Sano looking in the third. Now 0-2. Fierce look. 2 strikes from Sale. Upstairs, 1-2. Remember, it was a 36 pitch first inning for Sale. Since then, he's thrown 47 times only. Oh boy, close both ways.
He was able to check it up, and that ball unfortunately just missed. That was one of his better changeups.
Well, Chris is ready again. 2-2. Outside, 3-2.
3-2. Chris does like to throw that slider. Let's see what Deanna might want. Fastball in on his hands, and he was able to foul it off.
Swing and a miss. He struck out the side. It's a pretty good night to give away Chris Sale K counters. He's got 7 this evening. 3-2 Sox. Melky Cabrera, Brett Lawrie, Avi Garcia to bat against Kinsler here in the 5th inning. And a foul ball from Cabrera, 0-1. Talking some about how pitchers get to batters and how pitchers know exactly they've got a batter beat.
Well, we've got a visual, and we're going to look at it after Melky does whatever he's going to do with this one. They talk about the sweet spot, and the sweet spot is between the label and the name of any bat. So when a hitter talks about getting it on a sweet spot, that's what he's talking about.
1-1. Lob to center field by Melky. It's down. He's 1 for 2.
We'll take a look at Deanna Navarro with a couple of doubles, and we'll see him on this slider. He gets it out there and perfectly hits it on the sweet spot. Now, from a pitching standpoint, whether that's a base hit or not, the pitcher knows that the hitter was on him. That's the sweet spot. That's between the middle of the label and just before what usually is the name. Now, if a guy hits it there, even if he grounds out or flies out, whatever he does, you have to make an adjustment because he is right on you. On the other side of the equation, a pitcher's job is to get a hitter to hit it between his hands and the label or the name and the end of the bat. Even if he gets a base hit, if you throw it there, you fooled the hitter. You won the at-bat, you might have lost that particular battle, but in the long run, you'll be fine. So we talk about this area. That's where you want to try to get it, and usually you throw it inside to get it there. That's Jordan, who's our hand model, and that's at the end of the bat where you want him to get it. So by doing that, you change speeds or you change pitches.
2-1 on Lawrie.
So that's really the art of pitching, is to recognize when a guy has beaten you with an at-bat, when he's hit it on the sweet spot, which we showed you, and to try to make sure that he's hitting it from the hands to the label or the name to the end of the bat. If that happens, even if you give up a base hit, you've won the at-bat.
And you know it almost immediately on contact?
Observant pitchers will know exactly where a guy hits the ball. That's observant pitchers. Some other guys, especially young pitchers, they're not paying that much attention to where a guy hits the ball. But you file it away and you realize the next time he comes up that he beat you the last time. Now you have to make an adjustment or he's going to beat you again.
Lawrie pumps it in the air, and Polanco waves for it and has it for out number 1.
So we'll look at it one more time, and obviously the middle and the left from a pitching standpoint is what you want to do with a hitter. The right, when a hitter hits it there, more times than not he's going to hit it awfully hard, and if he gets some lift he's going to hit it out of the park. Otherwise he's going to hit it hard at somebody or maybe drill it through the infield. Again, observant pitchers know exactly where the hitter hits it.
Something to watch for as we move along tonight and through the season. And nice work by Jordan as well.
He was terrific.
Modeling the bat. He gets an IMDb credit for that. It's a strike for Avi Garcia.
I think the best part about it is now he has to pay after dues.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's like a couple thousand a year. It's not like it's a big thing, Jordan, because we know the salary is enormous for the job you do, and justifiably so.
He's very good at what he does.
Yes.
Whatever he does. It's a ball low to Garcia, 1-1. Melky at first, Avi Garcia 1 for 2 with a run scored. And Brandon Kinsler on the mound. So you're saying pitchers adjust to the next at bat based on where the batter hits the ball on the bat.
Veteran pitchers and pitchers who are aware will do that. It really makes things a lot easier for you.
Safe on Melky.
Now Hawk likes to talk about hitters who hit with short arms, and what he means is on an inside pitch you bring your arms in so you can hit it on the sweet spot even on a ball in the inside corner. He says hitters hitting with short arms are really good hitters, and it takes a while to learn that technique. Not everybody can do it, but that's hitting it on the sweet spot even when it's not in a place where you want it.
2-1
for Avi Garcia, and the Sox continue down the path of seeing a lot of pitches. They're 8th in baseball coming into today in pitches per plate appearance. Got 3 walks today, 1 drove in, the lead run right now. And Kinsler has thrown 10 pitches already to 3 batters here in the 5th. 2-2 on Avi Garcia. Minnesota led this game with 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth for the Sox, and a 3-2 lead here in the 5th. Cabrera at first, 2-2 from Kinsler, and a broken bat for Garcia leads to 2. Nunez started it, Mauer paid it off. 3-2 Sox after 5.
Was thinking that that 5th inning was special, and the 5th inning is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, the curious bank.
Still is.
It still is,
and always will be. No runs in that 5th inning, just 1 hit. And by the way, we'd be remiss if we didn't thank Mike Kashersky, the Sox batting practice guy, great guy overall, coach with the team, and generally amiable fellow, for his bat donation for your modeling debut.
You know what we might be able to do? We might be able to convince him to make a donation to the prize shelf, and that bat could wind up there.
Oh, you think so?
No, I really don't, but I thought I would bring it up.
Well, it doesn't look like it's going to fit on the prize shelf, which is not bat size.
Miniature bat size.
Miniature bat size. 1-2 from Sale, who has absolutely settled in after an 8-batter first inning in which he walked a man with the bases loaded and hit a man with the bases loaded.
He's given up 1 base hit, that a double to Polanco after the double by Plouffe in the first inning.
Outside, 2-2 on Trevor Plouffe. And how often does it happen you're talking about a guy who's batting?
Well, usually when they hit.
Grounded foul by Plouffe. Former shortstop, now third baseman for the Minnesota Twins.
That was a decision that the Twins had to make because Sano is a natural third baseman. Then they decided to move him out to right field, let him get accustomed to that position.
Breaking ball lofted left side. Saladino backpedaling. Melky charging. Cabrera is there. for out number 1. White Sox fans, vote now for your favorite moments and milestones from the first 25 years of U.S. Cellular Field. Head-to-head matchups run through May 19th, and the defining moment will be revealed during homecoming weekend, presented by the Village of Bedford Park, May 20th through the 22nd. Visit whitesox.com/USCF25 to vote today. Some great moments here at U.S. Cellular Field. A big day in Sox history today, you know? 1999, Carlos Lee today hit a home run in his first major league at bat.
He hit a whole lot more in the rest of his career because he was a very good hitter.
1-1. Here is Carlos Lee back in '99 here at U.S. Cellular Field off of Tom Candiotti and a breaking ball that was destined for departure. You think that was a knuckleball?
Yes.
Looked a little like a curveball.
I think it was a knuckleball. But he waited back and hit it nicely. By the way, that was the very much in shape Carlos Lee.
Yeah. Bouncing ball, first base and foul to Mauer.
Jose looking at it to see if it should stay in play, and normally what a pitcher would like to do is get that same baseball back, because if it does have a scuff on it, it's going to be able to move a whole lot more than his normal fastball.
New ball for sale, 1-2 on Mauer. Up and out, 2-2.
Joe Mauer thought he was going to have the day off, only to see Park get hit in the first inning and later leave the ball game, and Joe pressed into service against the guy he struggled with.
Colt strike 3, pinpoint accuracy outside corner. 8th strikeout for Sale.
Joe didn't like this call. 4 of the strikeouts of the looking variety, and that had maybe a piece of the plate. I think a little piece of the plate, but nonetheless, too close to take.
2 down for Arcia. And again, a 36-pitch first inning for Chris Sale. This is number 100 overall, and it's a strike. One and one for Arcia. 358 career homers for Carlos Lee. It's a big number.
He parlayed it into a very big contract with the Houston Astros, and he was dangerous. So Ryan Presley continues to throw in the bullpen.
Punch foul by Arcia, who walked and drove in a run with that walk in the first inning.
High fastball here.
Upstairs, 2-2. Here's the pitch. Arcia declined to swing at it.
Well, now the shift isn't quite as radical as it was, because Arcia has hit the ball a couple of times to left field. His home run went to left field, and he was bidding for a base hit, only to be robbed by Todd Frazier leading off the 4th inning. So now Saladino on the third base side of second, and he actually is moving more to his right, closer to third base.
2-2. Poke to third, Frazier. And another 1-2-3 inning for Chris Sale. Bottom 6 we go, 3-2 Sox.
1-2 is ERA, just a touch below 4.25. He's had one save opportunity, did not get the job done, and hitters hitting 269 rather, which is right about 10.5 hits per 9 innings.
He started the season with 8 2/3 scoreless. Gave up a run at Milwaukee on April 20th. He'll face Deoner Navarro first in the home 6th, and Navarro takes a ball. He is 2 for 2 with 2 doubles, a run scored, and an RBI.
Most teams play him from the left side as a dead pull hitter, but this team is playing him pretty much straight away.
1-1 on Navarro.
One of the reasons is 1 double to left center, 1 double down the right field line, and as you see, Santana just a step to the right of center field.
Navarro to center. Not many shifts would have taken care of that searing line drive from Navarro, who's 3 for 3. Take the opportunity to tell you about free t-shirt Thursday coming up. That nice Milkman t-shirt, Melky Cabrera, and free t-shirt Thursday coming up. You can go to whitesox.com/promos for more information on free t-shirt Thursday. So 1 on and nobody out.
Now they're taking a long look down at Joe McEwing. Plouffe playing in on the grass, trying to take away the bunt.
By the way, those Melky Cabrera t-shirts, May 19th, Houston Astros are in town, 7:10 p.m. for his pitch. First 10,000 fans get a free t-shirt presented by Prairie Farms and North Star Frozen Treats.
That one was brought in by Carrier Pigeon, but I thought you did a terrific job early.
Strike to Saladino. Hey, why don't you take a moment and call 866 Sox game, Steve? Might shut you up for a moment.
Very nice.
1-1 to Saladino. Robert Ventura has his own Milkman t-shirt in his office today. Saladino lays down a bunt. Throw to second. And they cut down Navarro. Centeno, who came in at catcher last half inning, throws out the lead runner, 1 away. Some question of whether or not that was a foul ball.
And we'll take another look at it. I think that
He step on the ball, maybe?
I think the ball hit him.
Looked like it did.
It looked like the ball hit him on the outside of his right foot, and that's what the umpires are conferring about. And it did hit him.
So that's going to be a double play.
We'll take another look.
Yep.
Looked to me like, yeah, it did hit him, and then the ball redirected. So, but Navarro's going to come back. It's not going to be a double play.
Yeah, Navarro, they're calling Navarro back,
Yeah.
so pardon that. Navarro's coming back in, and Saladino is out. So 1 out, 1 on.
I believe that scored as the closest man to the play, and it's going to be scored to you. Catcher unassisted, as Centeno was the closest twin to the baseball.
So the Sox end up, instead of Saladino at first, Navarro still at first. 1 on, 1 out, and a ball to Eaton. on 1-0. Second base, Polanco. Nunez, double play. Here's your twin killing to finish off the inning. And after 6, 3-2 Sox.
Show your team pride with White Sox checking, an official White Sox debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
Chris Sale still out there for the Sox, leading 3-2 in the 7th. Twins got 2 against him in the first with a rally from a whole cloth with 2 out, nobody on. Since then, just 1 hit against Sale.
That was a most unusual first because you really don't see from Chris Sale. Hit batsman, walk, hit batsman. And that happened in the first after the single and the double. Both Sano and Plouffe scored. Since then, Chris has been mighty tough as he's about to deliver pitch number 108.
2-0 from Sale.
Sox bullpen up and going. Chris is getting up there in the pitch department.
Two balls and a strike now. Twins have already gone to the bullpen twice. There's Matt Albers getting loose. Two and 2 on Polanco. Got him, strike 3. 9th K tonight for Sale.
Ninth K with the majority of them of the looking variety. This is an outstanding slider. Veteran hitter, young hitter, it doesn't matter. Very few guys can pull the trigger on a ball that comes that far over the left-handed batter's box before it snaps over the plate.
And Centeno in his first at bat takes a strike. Time now for Sticks and Stone. This half inning, we'll ask you about a player you faced. It's Don Baylor today. How'd you do against Don Baylor?
This is not particularly fair, and I'll tell you why.
That's becoming the slogan of Sticks and Stone. It's not particularly fair.
Right, because he spent, when he really bashed me, he was wearing the uniform of the Anaheim Angels.
Yeah.
So although he certainly was a member of this vaunted twin team, he came up with the Orioles and I didn't fare that well. I believe he hit more than a few home runs.
Chopper, Sale. Close range for Abreu. 2 down. It's 10 in a row retired by Sale.
Chris Sale has absolutely been magnificent after that first inning. And he was very mad at himself. Don Cooper came out, settled him down, looked like he came out very much amped up. He was throwing 97 in that first inning, something he hasn't been doing lately. But he hasn't been with this many strikeouts in a while.
9 Ks today for Sale. One and one to the 9 hitter Santana.
Last 2 times out combined, he fanned 9.
1 strike away from number 10 here tonight.
And if he does get his 10th, it'll be his season high.
Just off the plate. He's ready to go. 2-2. Pitch number 120. Frazier off the spin. Got him. Sale has the lead through 7 at stretch time. It's a 1-run advantage, and he's fired up.
Tonight's scoreboard and the schedule around Major League Baseball.
Split doubleheader in Baltimore today after a rain out yesterday. Dodgers in interleague play get a win. The Tigers lose. Kansas City a winner. So if the Sox win tonight, they will have a 5-game lead in the American League Central. That is really all you can do. I mean, people are talking about this division being one of the toughest in baseball. The Sox have so much separation at this point in an extremely difficult division thus far, with Twins well out of it, but the other 3 teams are dangerous.
Well, here's a piece of good news. Our buddy Jim Canatero lets us know that the best ERA with the lead, meaning taking the lead into the 7th inning or later this season, the Sox, .35 and a 20-0 record. Just above the Dodgers. Still pretty impressive. Dodgers at 14-4, Orioles at 16-2, Yankees at 10-1, and Phillies at 16-3 when they have the lead 7th inning or later this season. A testament to a fine bullpen and great defense.
Ball and a strike on Jackson. This bullpen has an ERA of 191, which currently leads Major League Baseball. Just 18 earned runs allowed. It's about half the ERA of last season's team at 367. 2 balls and a strike on Jackson.
With the middle of the order and Nate Jones loosening in the pen, Sox looking for those late inning add-on runs, and after all, it is the 7th inning.
2-1. Upstairs, 3-1 on Austin Jackson, who struck out twice and walked once. He has the current leading RBI with a bases loaded walk in the 4th before Abreu.
3 7th-inning runs in last night's game.
High and in, ball 4 on Jackson. And let's close up sticks and stone for tonight.
Oh,
We'll find out how you did against Don Baylor. Reveal from the question marks. 308.
Yes, but 3 home runs, a double, 3 walks. I only hit him 1 time. I think he was hit 280 times, and I only got him once. He was a big man, and he could outrun me. It was not a good combination.
Tough out, Don Baylor.
Yes, he was.
1 on for Abreu, and that's inside. Ball 1 to Jose, who's 1 for 3 tonight with a single in the 1st inning.
Centeno goes out to have a word with Presley. Sox have scored more runs in the 7th inning this year than any other inning. And Paul Molitor with a ball club off to a very slow start, and the injuries starting to pile up. They lost Park in this one tonight. They lost Suzuki in this one tonight. I don't think they'll be out for a great period of time, but both of them have been taken out of the lineup.
1-1 on Abreu, who struck out with the bases loaded in the 4th, and the burden on Centeno behind the plate is night game, day game, tonight and tomorrow. If he's got to play tomorrow, it's atypical a catcher would do both.
True, but he's a fairly young catcher and probably would have no trouble doing it.
Breaking ball strike, 1-2. Presley to Abreu.
Presley last year out of the bullpen with these Twins was very good. 3-2, 2.93 ERA.
Ball and 2 strikes. Went high fastball at 96. Change the eye level there. What does that do to a batter?
Makes it a lot more difficult on him to catch up with it. And as a rule, if it's high and in, it looks a whole lot faster. If it's away, he's got a little more chance, and that time, well out of the zone, Jose was able to foul it off.
In the dirt, gets away from Centeno to the backstop. Jackson to second base.
That one got right through the legs of Centeno. It is ruled a wild pitch, but it's a play he should have made. He didn't get the glove down far enough, and that ball, when it hit the dirt, it just skidded by. If the glove is on the ground, even if it bounces up, it's not going to get by you. But that's a big run out at second base with nobody out.
2-2. Fouled straight away. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Frazier on deck. Cabrera in the hole. 3-2. Sox lead as it's been since the 4th.
That was 97 miles an hour at the upper reaches of the strike zone, so he rushed it up there.
2-2. That is a pitch to hit right there.
Even though it was 96, it was just above the belt on the outer portion of the plate. And with Polanco, the man charged with holding Jackson close at second, there's a lot of room to punch it through on that right side.
2-2. He bounced it. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
That was a good stop by Centeno, because that ball bounced in front of the plate, and he was able to make sure it didn't get by. This could have easily gone to the screen. Bringing the elbows in and having that one hit off the lower part of the chest protector, he saved 90 feet.
3-2. Downstairs, ball 4. Abreu takes a walk. 2 on, nobody out. See your name in lights at an upcoming White Sox game. Celebrate a birthday, anniversary, and more with a scoreboard message. Proceeds benefit White Sox charities. To book your message, visit whitesox.com/scoreboard.
So Neil Allen comes out once again. And the Sox once again have been very patient tonight. This has become a wonderful habit of the ball club, drawing many more walks this year than they ever even thought of last year.
Tied for 12th in baseball before today started. Pitching side in walks, and the hitters have been even better than the pitchers at avoiding walks. The hitters have 102 walks, 9th most in baseball before the 5 tonight. Frazier, 2 on, nobody out in the 7th inning. Ball 1.
Well, if you're a hitter knowing a pitcher's struggling with his control, especially with that slider, right here you're looking fastball. You would prefer it middle in if you could get it.
I was talking to Todd Steverson about this very situation yesterday before the game, and he said when pitchers are throwing balls out of the zone consistently, our guys in big spots need to calm themselves down and make him throw a strike. 2-0 here. Frazier, left side base hit. Jackson coming home. Frazier to second base on an RBI double. 4-2.
We talked earlier about hitting with short arms and taking that inside pitch and getting the head of the bat on it. He brings his hands in and hits that one on the sweet spot. And that's the only way you can get around on 96 on the inside part of the plate. He drives it down the line, drives in his 2nd run of the ball game, his 20th of the year, and once again the magic 7th inning has come into play for the Sox, and they're not close to done yet.
Intentional walk coming for Melky. That'll load the bases with nobody out.
That was a very strong at bat by Todd Frazier, because he was guessing fastball all the way. He got it inside and just drilled it down the line.
Well, Todd had struggled some at the plate, but we saw that earlier in the year, and he burst out of it, just ran through a wall for about a week and a half during that homestand in the beginning of the road trip. Cooled off some. He's back at it again with 2 extra base hits tonight, and now Laurie with the bases loaded, nobody out in the 7th inning.
Infield in at all 4 positions.
Grounded foul.
And that one just bounced over Garcia's head and almost got a piece of it. So Melky, Todd, Jose, bases full of Sox, looking for more after 1 run.
Oh, 1. Ground ball, Plouffe at 3rd on the charge. It hits the bag, fair ball.
Now, Trevor Plouffe knew that he had no chance to get anybody anywhere and took a gamble that that one would go foul. The gamble didn't work. It's RBI number 12, the first hit of the night for Laurie. Drives in the 5th run, and take another look at it. He takes a gamble, and it hits the outside of the bag, just on the line.
Plouffe for a moment thought about trying to say it's foul, and any part of the bag, she's fair.
Well, he's coming over toward the line. He had no angle at the plate as Jose was charging down the line, and the infield's still in at all 4 positions.
Strike 1 to Avi Garcia, but 2 insurance runs here in the 7th for the Sox.
In this series alone, and things far from decided this inning, but 5 runs so far in the 7th.
Ball bounces back to Presley. 1-1.
Centeno is having a really nice time behind the plate.
Boy,
As Presley keeps burying sliders in the dirt.
hazard pay tonight for Centeno, who came in with the injury to Suzuki. 2 injuries in the game for the Twins as Chris Sale is cruising along after a rough first inning.
I think Chris Sale has cruised his last tonight.
2-1 on Avi Garcia.
I'm thinking in his case 7 is enough. The 2 first inning runs, and that was it. He slammed the door shut, fanning 9, giving up just 3 hits overall, and looking for number 7 this year.
2-1. Called a strike. 2-2 on Avi Garcia.
With the bases loaded over the course of his career, he's never hit the ball out of the ballpark. He is hitting .250 overall.
Two. Too close to take. He fouled it away.
He could hardly get his hands in any further as he fouled that ball off.
Laurie, Cabrera, Frazier with a cameo from Joe McEwing. Two and two. And he hit him. 6-2 Sox. Presley lost it on 2-2, and Bill Miller thinks it over at the plate after last night's fracas.
No, the last thing he wanted to do was hit him. He was trying to get the ball inside. You see where Centeno goes, and it got him flush. A very painful way to drive in run number 11. And that's going to be it for Presley, who had very little command, and he will depart this one.
Well, Presley finished off the 6th inning, but nothing doing here in the 7th. 6 batters, every one of them has reached. And we'll be back after this.
left-hander with a very big, slow curveball and a equally slow straight change.
At this moment, the White Sox have scored about a quarter of their runs this year in the 7th inning.
Pretty amazing, and now it's 6 between last night and tonight in the 7th.
Threatening to grow, Navarro, who's 3 for 3. Abad misses up. Minnesota led this game 2-0 after a half inning. Since then, 6 in a row for the Sox. Navarro smokes it right at Plouffe. 1 out. Sox come in tonight 20-10. First 30 games, 7 games better than last year. The average is down, the runs are up, the homers are up, and the defense has been stellar.
And look at the pitching stats. Starters, relievers, and errors. Usually defense goes hand in hand with good pitching. The pitching has been magnificent. And it's somewhat surprising with a lower batting average, 6.1 runs as opposed to 3.7 last year, and that's largely due to guys being patient enough to take some walks.
Left side, Plouffe's coming home, and he does have the out. Centeno goes crawling for it to cut down Cabrera. Laurie to third. Garcia to second. Saladino to first.
After a rocket soft ground ball, and Plouffe threw it wide of the plate, but Centeno able to keep his foot on the plate as he makes the tag, gets a force out. No thought of a return to first base for the double play.
Here's Adam Eaton. And he takes ball 1. Breaking ball, strike from Abad to Eaton. See him loaded. Laurie, Garcia, Saladino. One and two. You mentioned the walks that the Sox have taken. Half of the runs scored in this game have come either on bases loaded walks or bases loaded hit by pitches.
The walks are a bit surprising. The getting hit and forcing in a run is even more surprising.
1-2. Eaton on the ground, a shortstop. Nunez has the out. Sox get 3 more though on a couple of hits after 7, 6-2 for the AL Central leaders.
6-2. Chris Sale after that first inning was brilliant. 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. And Garcia extended his hitting streak to 8 games. Brought to you by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer. And Matt Albers comes in the game to take over for Chris Sale. He's got a 4-run lead to protect.
Last through 2 nights ago against Boston and gave up a rare run as he fires in strike 1 to Darren Mastriani.
There you look at the numbers, and they've been spectacular. .66 ERA, 6 holds, and a batting average against under 200.
Laurie on the charge, in between a hop, 1 away.
Chris Sale tonight had a very tough first inning, but he was able to get out of it with the force play, allowing only 2 runs. And then Joe Mauer with an at-bat against Sale. That didn't work out very well for him. Chris just sailed right along. The strikeout of Nunez, the strikeout of Sano, the strikeout of Polanco. There was 9 strikeouts in all, and Chris Sale with a bounce back after a tough first. Only 1 hit given up after that first inning.
Chris Sale in line for the win as Albers throws strike 1. This from our statistician / executive producer Bob Vorwald. He's even better at one job than the other.
He was very good at picking horses.
Albers misses outside. Bartolo Colon hit his first career home run tonight in the 2nd inning. He's the 5th oldest pitcher to homer.
Was he 43?
Believe so. Pop foul. Statcast was on this. It took him 30.6 seconds to round the bases.
Well, he's not used to home run trots. In fact,
just home run trots that he's not used to.
Bartolo is not used to any trots.
Ball and 2 strikes from Albers to Nunez. Frazier at third has to hold on to it. Nunez with a 1-out single. Fans experience Levy Restaurants fine dining and service from the First Merit Bank Stadium Club. Memberships are available to season ticket holders, and the club's open before, during, and after every home game. The First Merit Bank Stadium Club is also perfect for non-game day events. And for more information regarding the First Merit Bank Stadium Club, please call 312-674-1000. Miguel Sano, who singled and scored in that first inning. Ball 1 to Sano.
That being a sinker baller does not want to stay up in the zone.
In the air right side, Adam Eaton has gotten to just about everything this year. 2 out in the 8th inning.
Last night, for a catch he made, he got a standing ovation. That's been the kind of defensive start it's been for Adam Eaton. That one a whole lot easier. And tonight, amazingly, no spectacular catches. Chris Sale didn't give up too many hard hit balls after the first.
Two down for Plouffe. And a throw to first. Bob Vorwald, by the way, has a third job that he's also very good at. It's song recognizer. I thought they were playing Puff the Magic Dragon for Trevor Plouffe as he walked up. And he takes a strike.
That's because nobody's written Plouffe the Magic Dragon.
You get on that.
And Zach Duke loosening up in the pen. He's getting ready for the man in the on-deck circle if this inning stays alive. Odds are overwhelming Plouffe is not going to walk. He's walked once in 49 plate appearances.
0-2 on Plouffe. That's not many walks.
Not recently. He's been the swinging Plouffe.
Of the Encino, California swinging Plouffes. That song has a rather sad end. Puff the Magic Dragon.
Really?
Yeah. Have you never listened?
No.
To the finish?
I just listened to half the song.
So you think the Edmund Fitzgerald's all good? Two
Still.
strikes. Sad end for Trevor as well. Strikeout for Albers, bottom 8. Next. Sale May 14th at U.S. Cellular Field. Take home a piece of White Sox history, including game-used equipment, jerseys, hats, and much more. Entrance to the garage sale is free. For more information, visit WhiteSoxCharities.org. 6-2, some insurance for the Sox in the 7th inning, and the Twins go to the bullpen again.
Kevin Jepson comes in. He is the closer, although he's been successful just 2 of 5 times. This team has not needed closers too often. That's a good thing. Only in that their closer, Glenn Perkins, is out for quite some time. But if you don't need a closer, it's not a good thing for the ball club because, quite obviously, you're not winning too many. And that's been the case with a Minnesota team that's really struggled out of the box.
Well, they've struggled out of the box. They struggled in the middle of April. The offense turned it on some, and now the pitching has lagged behind recently. One and two for Jackson, who led off the 7th with a walk. He scored as the first 6 were on base for the Sox in that 7th inning.
Tomorrow, Coca-Cola Family Sunday and Children's Autograph Session. A great lineup of guys who are going to sign for the kids tomorrow. We'll let you know after this pitch. Scott Carroll, Adam Eaton, Avisail Garcia, Matt Latos, Zach Putnam, and Hector Sanchez all scheduled to appear during tomorrow Children's Autograph Session. And you can celebrate Mother's Day with tickets as low as $5 in the upper level and $15 in the lower level tomorrow.
Two for Jackson from Jepson, and 3-2. 10 and under. Free off the kids menu at Shy Sox Bar and Grill on Coca-Cola Family Sundays. You can run the bases post game as well. You gonna run the bases after the game?
Well, I would normally, but we're off to Texas.
3-2, Jackson with a laser to left field. Austin Jackson is on for the third time with his first hit and a leadoff double.
Our Mazda replay is a bullet of a line drive. And a good way to start off the 8th inning, as the Sox looking for even more late inning magic.
It is uncanny how this team has battered bullpen after bullpen in the American League this year. Strike to Abreu.
This is what happens with closers many times. You put them in a situation where they're just trying to pick up an inning. Quite obviously non-save situation. And because the adrenaline isn't flowing, because you can't get near as psyched up, they usually wind up giving up a few.
We talked about this in spring training, I think, if I recall, and you said basically there's no way to simulate that same situation.
Not for a guy who's been designated the closer, because he knows his role is to come in and save the game. That's what closers do. But if they haven't worked in a while, if your team is struggling, as the situation with the Twins, you got to pick up an inning here. You're going to have no control. So you look at Matt Albers after a fine inning of work, gave up a base hit, but that was it.
Wrapped toward third and foul for Abreu. Well, Irvin Santana started the game for the Twins, and you said it, just off the disabled list, you don't know what you're going to get. Usually fairly controlled, walk 3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. Out he went, and the bullpen had to clean it up.
Bullpen came on with Kinsler, Presley, and Abad. Presley having a particularly tough outing. Kinsler pretty good. Abad good also.
1-2 for Jose Abreu. Kevin Jepson, the right-hander out of Bishop Manogue High in Reno, former second-round pick in 2002 by the Angels.
He's been around a while, and he had some pretty good moments for the Angels. Grew very well out of their pen. Was not known as a closer, however.
Check swing, he didn't go, says Hoberg, the first base umpire. It's the same second round as Joey Votto, who's taken third in that second round. John Lester went to the Red Sox in that second round. Brian McCann as well to the Braves.
It was a very productive draft.
Two. Abreu, half swing, down it goes. The wave around for Jackson. The throw not in time. Abreu getting back to first. Nobody home. No one to throw to. 7-2.
There's a great example of a run producer knowing how to produce runs, because that was, and I think, Jason, you called it very well, a half swing, just trying to make some contact, taking it to the right side. He had that in mind to hold at bat because Jackson was at second. But it turns into gold, running on Mastriani. And then a good throw to second base. The big problem is that once they made the throw to second, nobody was home at first, as Austin stays away from the bat that was shielding his slide originally to home.
Seen a couple bats in the way the last few days. Adam Eaton thrown out at the plate yesterday and had to dodge a baseball bat. 1-0 on Frazier. That's a strike call, lower portion of the zone. Well, Todd with 2 hits tonight, a homer in the 3rd that tied the game, and a double in the 7th that continued to bust the game open for the Sox. Popped it up. Polanco steadies himself for out number 1.
Here's our Xfinity Speed replay. Todd Frazier, wide of 3rd. Good mobility to his left, and he nails it down the last inning for Chris Sale. The Speed replay is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
1 in, 1 on, 1 out. Melky Cabrera, who had 4 hits yesterday, has been on base 3 times today and takes ball 1 as Centeno continues to be under siege behind the plate. I mean, that's the one thing. If you're an accountant, your bad day at the office is you hit multiplication instead of division on your calculator. Centeno, since coming in for Suzuki about halfway through the game, has been bounced around behind the plate.
Well, Kurt Suzuki was hit in the mask dead on with a foul ball. That seemed to shake him up. Later he left the game, and of course we're all hoping he is okay, that there is no concussion involved. But looking out at the job that Centeno has done, Kurt probably happy he's not in there, because pitchers have buried a lot of sliders and they're bouncing off the body of Centeno.
1-1 from Jepson. Melky fouls it off himself.
And Hermie coming out, he wants to have a talk with Melky, see if he's okay. And he waves him off, saying he's fine. This is not good, but apparently he'll come away all right. We saw J.J. Hardy do that in Baltimore. Right off the top of his foot, he left the ball game. They found a fracture. He'll be lost at least 6 weeks to the Orioles, and he had not made an error this year. It's a big loss for them.
Huge loss for a team that came into today tied at the top of the AL East. Big chopper. Melky's got to test out that leg, and Jepson's got him for out number 2. Abreu to second base.
Jepson is trying out a new spot, and that is as a closer. Coming into this season, in his entire major league career, he'd had 20 saves. That's including 10 that he had last year. So now Paul Molitor, the Hall of Famer, comes out. I think Jepson's asking him, don't you want me to close this one out? And Paul is saying, well, no, I don't.
Michael Tonkin summoned for the final out of bottom 8. 7-2 Sox in game 2 of the series.
very tall right-hander. ERA of 2.25, on for the 14th time, so he's been pretty busy. Opponents hitting just 2.07. He came on for an inning and 2/3 last night. Had a good first inning of work, ran into some problems in the second inning of work.
Brett Lawrie, who continued his hit streak against the Twins with a single last inning. It's now up to 16 games. The hit streak for Lawrie. And he looks even more like Canadian Dracula with the eye black dripping down the side of his face.
It's hard on a cool night for the eye black to be melting.
1-1 for Lawrie. There it is.
If you're thinking why, not why he put that on, but why Kevin Jepsen would be taken out of the ball game.
Why is that?
Well, he gave up a couple of hits and a run, but I think Paul Molitor doesn't want him to throw too many pitches. And the reason is he's thinking optimistically that he might use him tomorrow. He didn't want to waste the pitches here tonight in a game that is somewhat out of hand at 7-2. So Paul took him out of the ball game and letting Tonkin finish it up.
That game tomorrow, 1:10 start time. Tyler Duffy versus Jose Quintana. And 2-2 for Lawrie. Former 5th round pick out of Bel Air High School, Tyler Duffy. The opposition tomorrow afternoon in just his 13th career start.
He's going against a pretty good one.
Great outing last time for Jose Quintana.
The best part of this start for Jose Quintana is very few no decisions. Going after number 5 tomorrow.
3-2. Lawrie swings through it. Fastball. And the inning's over. Tonkin does his job. Will play the 9th. Sox are 3 outs away from taking win number 21. TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Zach Duke is on.
Zach comes on to face Joe Mauer to lead it off here in the 9th. He quickly delivers a strike. So Zach comes on for the 18th time. There you look at a pretty good ERA. He's been the busiest man on the ball club coming out of the bullpen.
Strike 2 settles into Mauer, who 8 years ago today broke up Gavin Floyd's no-hitter with 1 out in the 9th.
Unfortunately, I don't think Gavin got that close again.
Strike 3. Mauer goes down looking. 11th strikeout tonight for Sox pitching.
So Joe Mauer's sitting on the bench to start the game, and he thinks he's got the night off. Well, then Park comes up, gets hit in the first inning, leaves the ball game, and Joe has to face Chris Sale, now Zach Duke. He grounded out back to Chris very weakly and struck out twice. Welcome to the ball game, Joe.
Congratulations, you get to play, and there are only left-handers awaiting you. Enjoy your night. Here's Arcia, who is nothing for 2, with a pop out to third and a ground out to third. How about the Sox again tonight, Steve? Late inning runs, 3 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th.
Battling back from a 2-0 deficit. They took a 3-2 lead after 4. And nobody scored for a couple of innings, but as has been their penchant all year long. A big 7th, a little 8th, but late runs have been something the Sox have been doing all year, which is a radical departure from years past. And with Robin, he goes to that bullpen with a sense of extreme confidence.
ERA under 2 for the bullpen this year. Albers an inning tonight. Only hit an infield single for Eduardo Nunez. Three-2 inside. And this is the first walk for Sox pitching since Arcia walked in the run in the first.
Twins have just 4 hits, 2 of them after that first inning.
Javi Garcia with an RBI. He was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded earlier. Also an infield single and a run scored.
It ran his hitting streak to 8 games.
Polanco takes a ball. One and one. The Twins in the first inning tonight got 5 base runners against Chris Sale. After that, they had all of 1 for the remainder of his outing.
He went 7, gave up a couple of runs on just 3 hits with 1 walk and 9 big strikeouts.
Tipped foul 1 and 2 on Polanco, the young second baseman.
And the 9 strikeouts tied his season high.
One, 2. Duke got him inside. Strike 3. 2 down.
And the fans on their feet looking for out number 27 as that one inside off the plate. And now the Sox 1 out away.
One out short of win number 21 in the first 31 games. Strike to Centeno. Just called up from AAA. John Ryan Murphy sent down. Centeno in for Suzuki, who was injured.
Coming over from the Yankees, they thought Murphy was going to be a good one, but he got off to such a slow start that they wanted him to get some at-bats, and he couldn't get him here in the big leagues. So they sent him down thinking still, guy that hit in the 270s with the Yankees in a full season will be able to find it again, but they want him to get 4 or 5 at bats every day, and it's going to have to be in AAA.
Sox are perfect this year so far against the Twins. 4-0 entering tonight. And that's about to become 5-0. Duke to first, game over. 21-10 for the Sox in the first 31.
And Chris Sale in 7 starts runs his record to 7-0. A magnificent start. The bullpen coming through once again. They only had to cover 6 outs. They did it with Albers and Duke. A very happy Sox team. And the finale of the series and the road trip tomorrow afternoon against these Twins.
Chris Sale, just the 5th White Sox pitcher since 1913 to win his first 7 starts in a season. 7-2, Robbins boys get the win, and we will wrap it up coming next.